and welcome to the 49ers First and 10 podcast. 10 minutes of the most up-to-date 49ers news first thing in the morning. I'm your host, Brianna McDonald, and I'm joined by 49ers team reporter Lindsay Polaris. We're in the thick of Cowboys week, and after one day off, the San Francisco 49ers are getting back to practice today. But before we dive into this matchup, we heard some final updates from last Sunday's game on the call with head coach Kyle Shanahan. Lindsay, what do injuries look like coming off of the contest versus Arizona?
So I guess the good thing is that the injury list really didn't grow too much. Obviously, the not so good news is that there was one new injury to the 49ers team, and that is for offensive lineman John Feliciano. He did have a concussion and is now in the league's concussion protocol. The other three outstanding injuries for the 49ers are carryover injuries from week 3. So we've got Deebo Samuel, who did play against the Arizona Cardinals. He is still day-to-day with his knee and rib injury. Then we have running back Elijah Mitchell. He did not suit up on Sunday. He's dealing with a knee injury that he suffered at the end of the practice week last week. And then wide receiver Juwan Jennings has a shin injury. All three of those guys are going to be day-to-day starting this practice week.
And after Shanahan had some time to review the game tape from week 4, what were some of his highlights from that contest?
I think there wasn't much more to review. It just sort of he reiterated that, yeah, it was a fantastic game for not just Brock Purdy, but also the 49ers offensive line. And I think you can see that just by the amount of scoring that was done. Brock Purdy's near completion rate, 20 of 21 pass attempts, 283 yards, a touchdown, and a QB sneak for him. And then you've got CMC with his 4 red zone touchdowns. None of that is possible without really excellent offensive line play. So I guess that was the new development of the call. There was a lot of just respect and props to those guys up front who, don't always get the love. I mean, I feel that the 49ers do pay special attention and care to make sure to give those guys up front, all the props that they deserve. But we're just going to give them another shout out because a tremendous game for the 49ers offensive line.
And really the star of the 49ers offense starting this season has been Christian McCaffrey. He won NFC Player of the Month in September. And now opening October, he's now NFC Player of the Week. Is that right? Talk to us a little bit about his performance entering this new month and just earning more accolades.
Yeah, I think it's not much of a surprise to see him get this award. And the news went live just a few minutes ago. But yeah, it is the first 4 weeks of Christian McCaffrey in 2023 have been filled with so many accolades, but because he's so deserving, he's really been tremendous through these first 4 games. And obviously highlighting this last game against the Arizona Cardinals. Again, 4 touchdowns, 4 of the 5 touchdowns that were scored on Sunday were from Christian McCaffrey. And like you mentioned, yes, he was NFC Offensive Player of the Month in September. He also had an NFC Offensive Player of the Week win in that month. He's up to 2 FedEx Ground Player of the Week awards. He's won the Angry Run Award as well from NFL Network's Good Morning Football. And now we add one more accolade to the list. So congratulations to CMC. And I think 49ers fans just want to see more because it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Now looking to what's ahead, Lindsay, where do the 49ers fall in league power rankings this week?
Happy to report right at the top. And that's really been the case for most of these first 4 weeks of the season. If they haven't been at the very, very top in that number 1 spot, it's been, fluctuating between spots 2, 3, and 4. But really, I think just the dominant fashion in which this team is winning has put the league on notice and just continues to be reaffirmed week after week. We saw that in week 4 with those 35 points. It was a franchise first for the 49ers. It's the first time this team has scored 30 or more points in each of its first 4 games of the year. And everybody's doing their part. The offense is really kicking into high gear. The defense held the Arizona Cardinals to 16 points and just hoping for plenty more good to come. But yeah, this is a very fast start for Kyle Shanahan and his team.
Now, things just feel intensified this week because they always are when you face the Cowboys, a historic rival for the 49ers. but it's also primetime Sunday night football and a matchup between two of the biggest teams in the NFC right now. We heard from Shanahan that he's really looking forward to this game, but can you break down the history as to why Dallas has become such a rival in recent years?
Yeah, so I think you have everything dating back to the 1970s. There's so much history between the 49ers and Cowboys, and I think that really is centered around the six NFC championship games in which these two teams have played. And those were, again, mostly in the 70s and the 90s, which were really the heyday. But in recent memory, we don't have to go farther than the 2020s, which sounds weird to say, but the 49ers are responsible for ending the Dallas Cowboys' last two postseason runs in 2021. The 49ers came out on top in the NFC wildcard round, and then last season they ended their season right here at Levi Stadium with a win in the divisional round. And so while this isn't a playoff game, it's like what you said, Sunday night football always adds something to a game. Then you add all the recent history between these two teams. And, the 49ers love playing at home in Levi Stadium. It's just a perfect recipe for a really hyped up, amped up game.
Yeah, all the national outlets have already been calling this game the game of the year, so a lot of anticipation entering Sunday. But with it being such a big game, on the surface level, you see two high-powered offenses facing off, two strong and attacking defenses against each other, and two very smart and experienced head coaches competing this Sunday. So to dig a little deeper, Lindsay, what are some of the biggest matchups within the game that you're going to be looking for this Sunday?
Yeah, so I'm going to be really zeroing in on, Christian McCaffrey just because he's been just the offensive firepower or part of the offensive firepower for the 49ers versus the Cowboys run defense. The Cowboys are have one of the most highly touted defenses in general in the NFL. Um, so they've got everything that you could want. They've limited opponents to, I think, an average of 10.3 points a game, so that's the best in the NFL. They've got a tremendous pass rush that is headlined by Micah Parsons, who didn't win the 2022 AP NFL Defensive Player of the Year, but was in the mix. That award, of course, went to Nick Bosa, but he was right in there. And then Christian McCaffrey, you have him, and he is the NFL's leading rusher with 459 rushing yards through the first four games. He's riding a 13-game streak of scoring one or more touchdowns. And really for the Cowboys, I think that is certainly one matchup to be looking at.
Thank you so much, Lindsay, for joining me in this update. Don't forget to follow First and 10 on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Turn on the notifications so you're in the know when we post any breaking news updates. And thank you, Faithful, for tuning in.